If you are into dramas like Alice in Borderland or Squid Game, you will definitely want to check out Last Samurai Standing. There's no question about that. You will definitely want to check this J-drama out. This is my final review of the recently ended J-drama Last Samurai Standing. I want to talk about this because I didn't feel like a lot of people talked about this in depth, but of the people I saw talking about this Japanese drama, pretty much everybody liked it a lot. Now, if you have no idea what Last Samurai Standing is, it is a Japanese drama that aired in November-ish of 2025. I didn't get around to watching this until January of 2026, which is why I am late to the party and why I am reviewing this now. This Japanese drama takes place in the 1800s in Japan, a little bit after the samurai have happened. Right now, as we are watching this drama, the samurai's job has pretty much ended. They've been scattered across Japan and they're trying to make ends meet whichever way possible they can, which is where our main character comes in. He is an ex-samurai and he has a family to feed. And while this is happening, there's also a plague going around the country that is devastating populations. That is kind of the setup of how this all starts, with the population of Japan struggling between this plague as well as just trying to make ends meet. There is a secret letter that is being passed around Japan inviting different types of fighters and ex-samurai to this location to participate in something, and they don't know what they're walking into until they actually find out once they get there. And it ends up being a tournament with a bunch of people, and they have to travel from one end of Japan to another, surviving. Trying not to give too much spoilers in this, but that sort of is a spoiler. All in all, there's around 300 warriors in this tournament, and the contest is you have to get these wooden plaques off of your opponent by any means necessary, ultimately by unaliving the other contestants. And the said in the title, Last Samurai Standing at the end of the tournament wins the tournament. Now, you find out that that's not necessarily the case as you are watching this J-drama, but overall, that is the idea of the drama, which is why I say if you like Alice in Borderland or Squid Game, you will probably like this drama. This is a Netflix production, and some of the cast, because it is an ensemble cast, stars Okada Junichi, who is the main samurai person that the story follows. It stars Fujisaka Yamiya, Kiyohara Kaya, Higashide Masahiro, Sametane Shota, and Satome Taichi, to name a few. And every one of these characters are contestants in the contest. I rated Last Samurai Standing a 9 out of 10. Overall, I loved this drama pretty much because I like these types of dramas. I loved Alice in Borderland. Some seasons are better than others, same as Squid Game. I love Squid Game. Some seasons are better than others. Last Samurai Standing already is confirmed for a season 2, which I'll talk about at the end. But overall, it is not surprising that I loved this J-drama. And so if you are like me and you like that type of genre and those types of dramas, you will probably love this as well. I loved that this drama kept the manga feel. There were some fight scenes that were so over the top, they seemed unrealistic, which is where the manga feel came in. The fight scenes are fantastic. The cinematography lends well to the fight scenes, thus making the fight scenes even more cinematic and breathtaking, because you are rooting for certain people in the fight scenes to survive, and you're holding your breath to see if they survive these certain fight scenes you are watching. I also love the structure of the J-drama because the first season is only 6 episodes, and every episode is centered around a certain character that they are going to introduce in the first season. You learn that character's backstory and how they ended up at the contest, and then you enter the present day again while in the contest and follow that character and how they interact with all the other characters you've already met. Some characters, because it's only 6 episodes, are introduced and we don't have the backstory yet, which is why season 2 comes into play. But I still like that structure because it gave you a lot of background on characters if and when they might become important later in the story. That being said, though, I needed more. As I said, there are some characters that are heavily in season 1 and you don't know much about them because they're only 6 episodes. So you needed more context. The fight scenes, as I said, are probably the highlight of this drama for me. It was just so well done and so well choreographed, especially the amount of fighters you have in this. The idea of a survival game in post-samurai era Japan, it works. And it also makes this somewhat unique. So if you are tired of the genre like Alice in Borderland and Squid Game, I think there's enough difference in this game as well as in the setting of this drama that it doesn't feel tired. And because the cinematography is so good, it doesn't feel tired. You have also different weapons and different warriors. Some people are more skilled in swords, some people are more skilled with archery. It mixes it up a bit that it isn't boring. Does need a season 2, as I said. It's only 6 episodes. They only made it so far. I don't know if that was originally planned or if they were waiting on ratings or whatever, but it definitely needs a season 2. And it was confirmed for a season 2. Don't know how many other seasons it will be, but definitely we're at least getting a season 2, which I'm excited for. If that is not your thing, though, that you don't like if there's multiple seasons, you might not want to check this one out. The only other downside I would say to this, and that is kind of the opinion of the viewer, is it is a little predictable because of the genre it is. If you've watched as many survival genre dramas as I have, for example, or Alice in Borderland or Squid Game, those types of dramas, you might be able to predict some of the setup because there is a group of rich people watching the show, or there's these shadow organization who has organized everything. Or you might say, oh, this character did this, so I'm assuming they're going to die by the end of season 1. There's some predictability when it comes to this, mainly because it is the genre, not necessarily because the writing is bad. So that might not be as fun to some people. Other people maybe don't care about that type of thing. Just like Squid Game, you do have a class conversation with this. I mean, with the people dealing with the plague and being poor, and the samurai kind of dealing with the fact that they're not important anymore, the lure of the prize money for this contest brings in the conversation of that class system. Because as I said, you have a group of very rich people watching this contest, watching these poor people desperate enough for money for a cure for this plague in order to survive this. That is kind of predictable. That is an example of the predictability because we've seen that in other genres, but it's unique to why they are desperate to survive this. Yes, the money, but they're desperate because of different circumstances than we might see in the modern day set Squid Game or the modern day set Alice in Borderland. The other thing I will say, it is violent. You see everything. It is a Netflix production. Think the violence of Alice in Borderland or Squid Game. You are going to get just as violent with this. And because it is more historical Japan, it's even more brutal because you are dealing with hand-to-hand combat or weapons that don't necessarily make unaliving clean. There's a lot of violence, a lot of gore, a lot of blood. If that is not your thing, you might not want to check this out. That being said, the villains in the contestants of this are scary. They are brutally scary, which I felt was interesting to watch because you even got context on some of those characters and then they came into the picture at the end. So not only are you getting backstory on the good characters of the drama or what you might consider as the good guys, you are also getting context and backstory on the villains of season 1, which I thought was very interesting and a nice twist because it sometimes humanizes them in a way and also sometimes makes them even more creepy and scary when you actually watch them in present day. Because due to the manga feel of this show, some of them are mythically impossible. They just don't seem real with how brutal they are. And that makes them even more scarier. So overall, I would rate Last Samurai Standing a 9 out of 10. I didn't like that it was so predictable, but that's because I've watched a lot of these genres and these types of shows. I love them. I would still recommend this one. And I will also say it I wish they hadn't done a season 2. I wish we had gotten all of it out. That is a major reason why it's a 9 out of 10 versus a 10 out of 10. Still highly recommend it. It's unique enough to be different and still enjoyable, especially for me. I haven't seen much historical Japanese dramas, so I always want to check out those types of things. Acting is great, cinematography, as I said, is great. Fight scenes are fantastic, but you might not want to watch this if you aren't into gore or violence because it is definitely has a lot of those. If this is the type of show you want to watch though, please watch this. Highly recommend it. Season 2's coming out. And let me know in the comments if you like this show, if you've already seen it, or if you'll check it out after this review. Thank you.